Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the fascinating and honestly brilliant world of modern golf architecture. We're zeroing in on a truly defining voice in the industry right now, Gil Hanse. You know, the absolute finest architects out there, they don't just throw some grass on dirt and call it a memorable golf course. They create places that feel destined to become classics from the literal second they open for play. And Gil Hanse, well, he's earned this incredible international recognition because he's got this very rare dual ability. On one hand, he can conceptualize world-class, original designs entirely from scratch, but on the other hand, he's also the guy that golf's most historic clubs trust to faithfully restore their century-old masterpieces.
To really wrap our heads around his genius, picture this scene with me for a second. Imagine you're standing on Scotland's spectacular northeast coast. You've got the Moray Firth stretching all the way out to the horizon. You can physically feel the sea breezes sweeping across this rugged linksland. And as you look out, the rolling fairways just seem to rise completely naturally right out of the shoreline. The whole place just feels remarkably ancient, you know? It feels exactly like generations of golfers have been walking those exact fairways in that brisk wind for centuries.
But here is the incredible twist. That ancient, centuries-old feeling golf course I just described, it actually opened in 2009. No way, right? That course is Castle Stuart golf links, and pulling off that remarkable illusion, making a brand new course feel as though it's been a natural part of the Scottish landscape forever, is widely considered one of Hanse's greatest achievements. I mean, it completely shook the architectural world when it opened.
Section 1. The Illusion of Time.
It really all boils down to this core belief of his. A truly great golf course doesn't imitate history. It becomes part of it. Gil Hanse is frequently described as being just as much a historian as he is an architect, and honestly, that combination is the secret sauce to his success. He never builds trendy courses because, well, trends fade. Instead, he focuses purely on the timeless. He's not out there just copying historic courses. He seeks to deeply understand what fundamentally made them timeless in the first place, and then he weaves that exact DNA into his own work.
So the crucial point here is his remarkable consistency. Whether Hanse is starting from an entirely blank canvas or restoring a famous championship venue, his guiding principles literally never waver. First up, respect the land. He lets the natural landscape dictate the design rather than trying to forcefully overpower it. Second, respect history. You only improve what time has changed. And third, reward thoughtful golf. He wants players to use their imagination, to really strategize out there, rather than just teeing it high and hitting the ball as hard as they can.
Section 2. The Architect's Scorecard.
Now, analyzing his career really highlights why Hanse is so universally revered. We're talking 5-star ratings across the board. You see, some architects become famous for one single remarkable project. But Gil Hanse? He's earned worldwide recognition through unmatched versatility. From classical strategy to environmental stewardship, he hits top marks everywhere. I mean, the guy can travel halfway around the world, create an entirely new championship course that immediately feels like a classic, and then hop on a plane to a historic club and quietly restore a century-old layout with just incredible historical sensitivity. Very few architects possess both of those abilities at a 5-star level.
Looking at the timeline of these masterpieces really puts his massive influence into perspective. The global explosion of his career really kicked into high gear in 2009 when Castle Stuart opened in Scotland. That success was a massive catalyst. Just 3 years later, by 2012, he was simultaneously taking on the massive Streamsong Black project while also winning the bid for the Olympic golf course. And then, all throughout the 2010s, he was entrusted with major restorations at these legendary historic venues like Winged Foot, Los Angeles Country Club, Oak Hill, and Southern Hills. It's truly a dual legacy being built side by side.
Section 3. Crafting Modern Classics.
Building a new golf course in Scotland, which is the literal birthplace of golf, is a monumental task. The comparisons to legendary links courses are just inevitable. But Hanse approached it with pure humility. To make it work, he utilized wide fairways to encourage player creativity. He built generous greens that actively reward thoughtful positioning. He cultivated firm turf, which is absolutely vital because it lets golfers use the ground to run the ball up rather than just playing exclusively through the air. And of course, he accounted for those changing coastal winds, meaning the course's strategy totally transforms from one day to the next. Castle Stuart didn't just look old, it played and felt completely authentic.
And because of that massive success in Scotland, Hanse won one of the most prestigious commissions in modern golf history, designing the Rio Olympic golf course. I mean, think about this context for a sec. In 2016, golf was returning to the Olympics for the first time in 112 years. The last time it was played, guys were swinging wooden-shafted clubs. This was a monumental chance to introduce millions of global viewers, many who had never even watched the sport, to proper strategic golf architecture.
Designing an Olympic venue is incredibly complex, right? It has to challenge the absolute best professionals in the world, accommodate massive spectator crowds, look great for television broadcasts, but also remain enjoyable for the local population long after the games pack up and leave. So, how did he pull it off? Mostly by stepping back. He embraced the natural sand-based terrain. He utilized the native vegetation and the local coastal winds, and most importantly, he completely avoided any sort of artificial drama. He proved on the world's absolute biggest stage that strategic golf, where every single hole asks the golfer to think rather than just overpower the ball, is just as compelling as raw artificial difficulty.
Section 4. Restoring Championship Legends.
So we know historic clubs guard their courses fiercely. So when a legendary venue like Winged Foot Golf Club in New York needed to prepare for modern championships, they naturally turned to Hanse. The original architect here was the legendary A.W. Tillinghast, but Hanse's job wasn't to put his own stamp on Winged Foot, not at all. His job was to make sure Tillinghast remained the star, by quietly restoring the strategic brilliance that decades of time and overgrowth had slowly hidden away.
Let's dive into his exact restoration process, because it's honestly like forensic science. Before even touching a shovel, Hans meticulously studies original plans and historical photographs. From there, at Winged Foot, he carefully reopened the original fairway lines that had slowly narrowed over the decades. He refined the green contours and restored the strategic bunkering back to their original intended peril. And crucially, he removed trees that had been planted long after the original construction, specifically to recapture the vital playing angles that Tillinghast originally envisioned. The result wasn't some brand new golf course. It was the stunning rediscovery of a championship legend.
And this perfectly illustrates that rare dual balance we've been talking about from the start. When Hanse creates an original design on a blank canvas, it feels timeless and never trendy. He builds a narrative that feels like it's always been there. But when he handles restorations, his work is quiet, incredibly historically faithful, and he never, ever seeks attention for himself. He doesn't try to become the story. The golf course always remains the story. That quiet confidence is exactly why developers trust him with their brand new dreams and why historic clubs trust him with their priceless treasures.
So, the absolutely crucial takeaway from this explainer comes down to this final question. Does a great sports venue need to overpower the landscape with artificial difficulty, or is the ultimate test found in thoughtful strategy and historical authenticity? Gil Hanse has proven time and time again, from the Scottish coast to the Olympic stage in Rio to the legendary fairways of Winged Foot, that authenticity and strategy will always outlast a passing trend. Next time you look at a sports venue, ask yourself, is it trying to make history, or is it trying to become a natural part of it? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I hope this leaves you looking at the landscapes around you just a little bit differently.